Mr. Transformers 96 here with another collection update, and this is a very special collection update. If you watch my previous collection update, I did mention that that was the last time that I'd be filming a collection video in that house, and that's the case because I have moved, bought my first house, and have set up a new collection room. Priority one, of course. So yes, I've got a new collection room all set up, very excited to show you all. Quick update though before we get started with the collection itself, because obviously a whole lot has happened since I've been posting videos, but they've mainly just been about reveals and stuff online. I haven't done any kind of in-person reviews or collection things in the past 2 months or so. So obviously with the whole pandemic and everything, things have been really crazy for me. And not only was all of that happening that, you know, was crazy for everybody, but on top of it, it would actually just so happen to be the month that this whole thing started was the month that I was getting married and was going on my honeymoon and had a ton of stuff planned. It all had to be postponed, except for the actual ceremony itself. So I did still get married, so officially I am married. Very excited about that, and my wife actually lets me have a collection room. That's how you know she's the one. So very excited, and obviously all the fun stuff has been pushed back, but very excited to move into my new home and start up a collection. So let's get started here. We can go into things kind of more in depth, show you what's different. Obviously with the fact that it's a completely different room, there's a lot different here. So let's get started. Alright, so let's start off where we usually start off, kind of the closet area. So I've kept the same design, so, you know, I'll go into it kind of in a general sense and I'll get close and we'll go shelf by shelf. But just starting off, same type of design as my last collection room where I've built shelves within the actual closet itself. I've ripped off the front doors and, you know, kept it open so it's almost like an in-case, you know, kind of mounted in the room type of display, which is very cool. What's awesome is there's a lot more room here. So when we get deeper, you can see it a little bit more clearly, but the Transformers at the very top, the kind of shelving unit where they're on steps and going up, that was the exact width of the closet from my last collection room. So as you can see, I've expanded, I've got more room on either side, and then when we get deeper, you'll be able to see that the shelves themselves and the closet itself is actually deeper than just the side walls. So not only does it stop right at the walls, it goes in further. So I've got a lot more room over here, which is great. So more room for just the normal toys here. And when it comes to the actual glass cabinets and shelves, I actually have more room for those too, which is awesome. So the changing collection room is actually a bit of an upgrade. The only spot or the only downside to this room compared to the other one is that the other collection room had really tall ceilings, especially on the left side of the room. The actual walls were really tall and there was a bit of slant where it kind of went down towards the other side, but nonetheless I had a lot more room for stuff on the walls. So as far as in-package stuff, as you can see, I do have in-package stuff displayed. Above it, I do have some more as well, but much less room when it comes to actually displaying the in-package stuff. However, the actual stuff in the room and the collection itself, a lot more room for that, which I'd take over the in-package stuff any day of the week. So there you go, there's kind of an overview of the closet. Let's get into it and we'll go shelf by shelf. Alright, starting off with the Transformers here. Again, like I said, the shelves right there, so from there, moving over to here, was the exact length of my closet, or my, you know, collection spot in the closet beforehand. So all of this is additional room, and on the other side, more additional room there. And the shelves themselves are exactly the same when it comes to depth. So there's the exact same room depth-wise, even longer length-wise though, which is great. So let's go over the actual steps. So this I actually rearranged quite a bit here. There's a lot in my collection room that's I set up the same type of way, but when it comes to these figures, although the shelves are the same, like I've kept the same theme to each shelf, the actual placement of the figures is very different for the most part. So as you can see, I've changed a lot. I've put all of my Optimus Primes at top with all of the Megatrons, so I thought that that was kind of a neat way to disperse those. As you can see, Decepticons over here. One difference is I've decided to include Sentinel Prime within my Decepticons before I had him with my Autobots. Obviously, he's a character that can kind of go both ways, so as you can see, a lot of figures. A couple new ones too. Did just get Roadbuster as well as the new Chatter. So very nice to have those too. And then to the side, we have some of the big figures, some of the Masterpiece figures as well, just to have them stored somewhere, and a couple Ice Cream Edition Skids and Mudflat. When we come over to the Decepticon area, here we have the Constructicons with the original Devastator. And right here is a new edition. It's Devastator, or Troublemaker, whatever you want to say. It's Mixmaster, essentially, from Devil Savior, the new third-party company that's making the incredible-looking Devastator. I have all the figures on pre-order, and as you can see, I've got Devastator right there. Now going down, we have the Marvel Legends comics. So same, design as before, where it goes Transformers, Marvel Legends comics, Marvel movies, then Star Wars, a little bit of DC. So at the bottom, I've kept the same type of design where it's, the big figures, selects, and build figures in the back. As you get forward, it's all the Marvel Legends, and then the front line is a slew of Marvel Universe. I do have quite a few figures here. I have kind of a gap in between my Universe compared to my Legends over here, just because with the expansion of the actual shelves itself, I have too much room for figures. Although just taking a look at that, it doesn't quite look like with all the figures there. But yeah, overall, got figures over there. Kind of have the Sinister Six in Legends and Universe form, kind of right there. As you can see, my newest Build-A-Figure, I can zoom in. Crimson Dynamo's chilling in the back. Very excited to get that new one. Just completed the Black Widow wave, so very happy about that. Very happy with the shelf. Love the kind of the chaos with all the characters. Very cool. And this was a shelf that was getting pretty full, so being able to expand, it's nice, just because now I have additional room to fill her up again. Very nice. Alright, and then we'll move down to the movie figures. Alright, down to the movie ones. I took out a substantial chunk of my movie figures and put them somewhere else, so I'll show you that in a little bit. But because of that, that has caused this shelf to be a little bare in all honesty. These Marvel figures, or Marvel movie figures, I have spread out a little bit more than I did before. And then with the additional room on the sides too, as you can see, a lot of wasted space, but room to grow. Have my select line right there with the heroes. Then have Marvel Legends movies all down here. Really expanded that. Added a couple new Black Widow ones, of course, so that helped fill up the gaps. Then we have my Marvel kind of Universe, the 3 3/4 inch version of the Marvel movie figures. A couple in package figures, the Mayfix Hulkbuster, and then rounded up with some selects and a Revoltech Marvel villain. But as you can see, the Marvel villains have actually disappeared. I've moved them to their own spot, so I'll show you where I've put them once we get over to that portion of the room. Alright, we come down to the final shelf, and this time we have Star Wars mainly, but with a little bit of DC. Now this was the shelf in my old collection room that was really getting crowded. I was having, difficulty. The DC ones had to be really smashed in together, so by expanding this shelf, it actually helped a whole lot. In order to fit more in. So going over the DC figures first, I have them all over here. As you can see, I have all of the Mattel, Masterpiece figures. Got them all set up here. Got a line of Dark Knight, and then you've got the other DC EU figures with Green Lantern in the side. And with Parallax being such a massive and awkward figure, having the little corner section is perfect for him. And I've got another massive and awkward figure on the other end that just works perfectly in those corners. So this shelf benefited the most from the actual expansion here. I definitely think that it helps. Then we have my Black Series figures. The whole set of them, bounty hunters in the back. Up front, I kind of have a representation of all of the films almost. So you've got Solo, Rogue One, the new trilogy. I've got obviously the new trilogy look of the original trilogy though, and then the Mandalorian. So have that represented here with all the different movies, and then behind them, it's just a slew of my Black Series collection. You move over where there is Clone Wars. Clone Wars of Galore. So I used to have them actually posed on bases, but it took up a lot of room, and some of them didn't stand well on bases, and I took a risk, because with 3 3/4 inch figures, especially Clone Wars, which have very tiny feet because they're based off of animated characters, But I took a risk and decided to display them all not on bases. It looks really nice. I like it, but I do have the fear that I'll have some tumbling effects later on. But for right now, they've been like that for a week, maybe 2 weeks, and they've been okay. I haven't had any of them fall, so that's impressive, at least for now. And then moving over, we have my Jabba the Hutt collection. As you can see, Pop in the back, 6-inch Black Series, and then 3 3/4-inch series. So have a nice display there. And that Rancor, again, just like Parallax, is perfect for that corner piece. And that was another figure that I didn't have on display beforehand just because he took up so much room, but now I can not only display him, but display him with the Jabba the Hutts, which is great. Alright, and then at the very bottom, as you can see, I just kind of have that as some placeholder stuff. At my old collection room, I actually kept my Devastator collection there. However, I've managed to put my original Devastator / Constructicon figures, on the right side of my display, as you saw. And then I got my new Studio Series Constructicons in another spot of the room. So because of that, I didn't need them on the floor anymore, and I'd prefer just to have nothing like out of package on the floor. So that's why now on the floor currently I've just got kind of in-package figures lined up there just to kind of help fill in that gap with my multi-troop transport on the left. Another thing that was too big to display in my old collection room, so I'm happy to get that in here. And then quickly, before we go over to the glass cabinets, let's go over some of the stuff on the wall. Got some mint Star Wars figures on the wall there. And then Marvel Legends that roll on over with my DC bus. And then we go down to Marvel Universe. And then that takes you to one of the little kind of single stand podiums where I do have Cole Obsidian. Very happy about that. The other stand is right next to the door. Currently I've got a lamp on it, but when we get over there, I can show you what's usually over there, but it's hella essentially. So it's kind of my Iron Studios statues. Alright, and then moving right to the right of the actual in-closet collection area, we have my first 2 Detox Cabinets, and then on the top of those Detox Cabinets I have one of my favorite portions of the collection, even from my old collection room, which was my First Order / Empire / Black Series Star Wars collection. Although I have quite a few Black Series figures on the in the actual closet collection area, this is where I keep, I guess, the majority of them. It's the most organized looking because it's all my troopers, all my villains essentially, with the kind of posed spot up here with the Rey and Kylo taking on the Praetorian Guards. Love that shot. So this is almost identical. There are some differences though. I took out the throne from behind them so that you could really, it opens up even the troopers in the middle so you can see them all clearly. And I took them out. The reason that I had it in there originally was because it's accurate, obviously. Rey and Kylo fight in front of his throne, but it looks so much better to remove it. And then now, on the left side where I have my light colored troopers and Krennic, I can have Snoke on his throne, and then to mirror that on the right side where I have all my dark colored troopers with General Hux, I've got my Emperor with his throne. So it creates for such a nice display. To be honest, I love this. I think it looks great, and I think it's really cool. Very proud of that collection. Alright, and then taking it down to what's actually in the cabinets here. We started off, these two are the same as before, where it's my 6-scale Star Wars figures. You've got Bounty Hunters on the right, and then Grievous with his troopers on the left there. We go down, we've got my shrines essentially. I've got a huge collection of both Harley Quinns as well as Captain Phasmas. So as you can see, they're represented there in all of their glory. Both of those I set up the exact same way that I left them at the old collection room. So again, nothing's different between those things. So those 4 squares are all identical to what I had. A lot of the stuff in the glass cabinets is very similar because I was pretty happy with my displays before, and the cabinets themselves obviously haven't changed, so I can kind of leave those the way that they were. Now here, this has changed. In my last collection room, I had 1 square in the Detox that was for Star Wars Pops. I've expanded that to 2. On the left side, as you can see, it's heroes for the most part. On the right side, it's all villains. So that is new there. And then at the bottom, this is new as well. This is the Star Wars Elite series figures, the die-cast ones that are Disney Store exclusives. Those I have, let's see if I can get some light on. Those I've I used to display on top of one of my big cabinets, but then I just kind of ran out of room for them, and they were very heavy and, you know, kind of fragile figures, so I decided to pack them and store them away. Now I'm able to display them all again, which is quite nice. I'm very happy about that. So those are kind of new in their areas. Alright, and moving it over to these two Detolfs. These are actually completely new Detolfs. These are two that I did not have in my collection room beforehand. I bought them once I moved in here because I had the extra space, the extra wall space, so that gave me an extra, you know, kind of 8 squares of Detolfs to use, as well as there's actually more Detolfs in this house that aren't just in this room. In the office is... basically it's our office slash pop collection room. I do have some pops in here, but that's just because we have so many that it's hard to fit them just in our office. So I have 3 more Detolfs in our office that's actually taking some of the pops that were in my collection room before. So I've gained a lot of Detolf space when it comes to this new collection room, which is great. Please excuse the kind of shirt there in the window. I did that because around 8 o'clock in the morning, there's just a little small beam of light that shines in, but it goes right on my Hot Toys Mandarin's face. So I use that just to block it out for the time being until I can get actual probably curtains in here just to block out the light. But at the top, as you can see, here's my 3A deluxe scale Bumblebee collection with Optimus Bumblebee and Blitzwing. They look great. Really loving that spot. I'll just take it off handheld for a moment here just so you can really see. Very cool. I think that these look great. And then I've got the poster behind them, which is awesome. I got Optimus just after I moved in, so he was never in the old collection room, so it's perfect just to get him in this new one. Looks awesome. I'm very much looking forward to the Soundwave figure. Hopefully they do some more. And then going down in the Detolfs here, we have Darth Maul as well as the Suicide Squad collection. Suicide Squad's the same as it was before. Darth Maul was actually displayed with my other Star Wars Hot Toys. I decided to move him to his own square though, just because he looks so cool. And then coming down, here's where we have the other Marvel Legends that we're not seeing on the actual shelf themselves. So I ended up putting them in here. It's specifically on Instagram, I've seen a lot of people post shots of just like all of their Marvel Legends movie villains together in glass cabinets, and although I had them all displayed together on the shelf itself, they tend to blend in with, you know, your movie figure or your heroes. So to have them in their own spot's really cool. And I'd be impressed if you can kind of tell how I organize them, but there's a reason that I grouped these figures together compared to these figures, and that's that this is kind of the cosmic version or the cosmic shelf of the MCU, so all the kind of out there space MCU villains, while here's the more grounded Earthbound ones. So very cool. I think that they look awesome. Very excited to expand that as well. As you can see, got Taskmaster in there, the newest MCU villain to get the Marvel Legends figure treatment. Going down, these would be another 2 new shelves, or two new squares essentially, where I've got actually my Hellboy Wink collection in the left. I love Hellboy Wink, and the place that I had them displayed was so hidden. They were behind behind a statue that you had to be looking at the opposite side of it to actually see them. It was just really a way just to get me to have them in the collection without knowing where to put them because they didn't fit in. But now that I have the extra shelf space, I've kind of devoted a cube in there for them. Very nice. And especially since I just got that bust recently that I've always wanted, it's great to be able to display that with the rest of my Winks. I'm just a big fan of that character. And then at the bottom we have or not quite at the bottom, but then next to the Winks, we've got my Pop collection for my Venomized Marvel characters. So really enjoy the Venomized Marvel line, I think, from Pop. I think that they do a great job and have some really cool figures. And I did have them on display beforehand, however, they were sharing a spot with some of the other Marvel figures, and because of that I had to put some of those other Marvel figures away, as well as just in the transition of moving, a new wave of Venomized Marvel characters came out that I never was able to put on display just because I didn't have any more room. So now they've got an entire shelf to themselves, able to display all the new figures, and they're looking great. And then those Marvel figures that they were sharing a shelf with now have another shelf of their own, which is nice. And then at the bottom, it's my Arkham collection. I'm very happy with my Arkham collection. That's set up the exact same way that I had in my old collection room. I'm happy with that, so I'm sticking with it essentially. And before we get to the next cabinet, just kind of on the floor between the two, I do have my Infinity Gauntlet set up there. I'd like a little podium, just a little like a circular kind of podium just to put there to raise it up a bit so it's not just directly on the floor. But I do like it at that level. So just something little to kind of give it some oomph, I think would be nice. So after everybody's done being quarantined, I can go look for something like that. Alright, next up we have my first of the large cabinets of the room. This one's very similar. On the top of it I do have my Pacific Rim collection with the 2 Sideshow statues and all the NECA figures in between. Those are set up the exact same way, so nothing new there. However, I like the setup, so I kept it the same way. And then same thing when it comes to this. Compared to my very last collection video, it's exactly the same. The only difference is Darth Maul isn't in the second shelf anymore. He's now with the other... he's in his cube alone, as we saw just recently. So there, as you can see, it's the top is all the heroes, my custom Kylo Ren as well, and then as we go down, we've got all the Sith/villains, and then underneath there we've got my Dark Knight collection, looking very cool. Let's give you a handheld. I like my Dark Knight collection, so let's actually show it. Here you go, just a little bit better view here, just so you can take a look, because I'm very happy with that. Get up to the next shelf. And finally. Very nice. So, very similar shelves. When it comes to these big shelves, I do have them set up very similar to what they used to be, just because I was very happy with the setup beforehand. So, and obviously the cabinets haven't changed at all, so why change up the displays? Alright, and moving over to our next Detox cabinet, we've got kind of the one single Detox cabinet. All the other Detox cabinets in the room are actually paired up together, so this is the only one that's a single one. It fits nicely here though, and it breaks up my large cabinets because I want some form of Detox in between each of the long cabinets, so it isn't just like Detox on one side of the room, long cabinets on the other. So going over this one, at the very top, we have my Emma Frost statues from Sideshow Collectibles. I have not displayed them together before. Sorry if you hear the sizzling, there's steaks going right now, they're a bit loud though. But I have not displayed them together before. Originally I displayed the J. Scott Campbell Emma Frost statue with my J. Scott Campbell statue collection. However, although it's in a similar scale, it's a lot taller than the other ones just because she's fully standing. And actually it's one in 1/4 scale compared to the others who are 1/5 scale. So I decided to actually move it and display her with the other Emma Frost, which I actually think looks really good. I'm pretty happy I did that. I think it makes the J. Scott Campbell collection look better too. And then next up we have Jack Sparrow. A little closer. Really always love that Jack Sparrow figure. It's such a kind of display on its own. And I originally had it in a Detox, but then I just had so much extra stuff that I needed to remove him from a Detox and put him kind of on the on one of the podiums, actually at the bottom of the podium. I wasn't happy with the where I was displaying him, so to be able to get him back into a Detox and at the very top of the Detox nonetheless is I'm really happy about that, because stunning figure and really just great display. It's striking. And then comparable to that would be this one down here, same type of thing, where it's a single figure that doesn't really go with the rest of my figures, just based on character wise, but I love it, and it deserves recognition, and it deserves kind of a Detox style spot. So this is a perfect one where you've got Indiana Jones full display. I was actually very surprised to see that the backdrop piece fits in the Detox. Now it does, like it's just so close. Like it can't even the little the rods in there, it can't be under the rod though, then there's no room, so it has to be just in between the rod and the top. And actually there's just ever so slightly a difference between the top shelf and the rest of the shelves apparently too, because he can't even fit the backdrop can't even fit on the top shelf either. So he's got a very specific spot. I'm very happy that I could fit the whole diorama with it, because I always wanted him in a Detox, but I always assumed that the backdrop was too big, because usually they are, but this one just ever so slightly, like by a centimeter, fits, so I'm very happy about that. I had to put him in it and then put the glass shelf on top of it because it was such a close fit, but it works great. I'm very happy with that. Going down, we have those Marvel figures I was talking about that were sharing the spotlight with the Venomized Pops, but now they have their own spot. I'm able to include that Wolverine back with them that I originally had to take out because there wasn't enough room, so happy to get them all in place together. As you can see, I have some of my large Marvel Universe figures on the left there. And then at the very bottom, we have my collection of Iron Man 2 drones. I have quite a collection of them. Really proud of that. That whole setup and the steps that I built for them are really cool. So very happy with that collection. Next up, we have one of my favorite spots in the collection itself, and this is set up the exact same way that it was at the other collection. So I love it, so I'll go through it, but nothing's different here. Even on the top, still have my Hulkbuster Hulk and then my Tony Stark with his workshop diorama set up there, and they're set up in the exact same way and everything. The top shelf here, we've got my two Trinities together, the Avengers 1 Trinity versus the Infinity War Trinity. I have the Endgame Trinity on pre-order and cannot wait for them, although Captain America just got super delayed. So he was supposed to come out this month or next month, and now he's not going to come out until like the end of this year, which sucks. But could even be due to the Corona situation that they've probably had to stop production a little bit or at least slow down. But moving down, we've got my other kind of secondary Avengers. They're looking great. I actually have a new figure for that display coming in today. It's one that I'm kind of surprised that I got, but I was able to get it on a great price. I'm very excited for it. It's on the die-cast Iron Patriot from Iron Man 3. So I'm excited for that figure. It should be here any minute, so quite excited to add that. And then down at the bottom, this is the same setup that it's always been in. It'll always stay because I'm just such a fan of the setup itself. But as you can see, it's my Iron Man 3 Iron Legion collection. Got the full display there. Get a better look at them. And finally, the Trinities. Looking quite awesome. And higher shot of them as well. And next up, we have the next set of Detox Cabinets. This time at the very top, we've got my Decepticons, kind of the masterpiece / scale. I've got a couple leader figures from Hasbro. I've got a masterpiece figure, and I have two third-party figures as well from kind of the movie 1 Decepticons. They look really great. And I've got the 3A Starscream next to them from Dark of the Moon. That's the same type of setup that I had before. Going down, we have a setup with my Zods, same type of setup, and then a blank one. I'm actually still trying to look at what I'm going to be putting there. Some of these Detox cubes might change spots, because I'll go over it a little bit more when we just get a general view of the room, but I have one set of Detox that's almost all Transformers, which is this one, and I have one set of Detox that's almost all Star Wars, except for like one, so I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to, if I'm going to go like a full theme on each one, or if I'm going to start, mixing them. I'm not sure. But as you can see, I do have an empty one there for whatever. Next up, on the square to the left, that is purely placeholder. I just, it's something that I'm excited about, so I kind of want on display, but it's not done yet. But it's the Studio Series Devastator. He's going to be too big to fit in there once he's all built, so he will not be being displayed in the Detox itself. But for right now, I've kind of got that little section put off for him. But I've got the Constructicons from the Studio Series on the other side. Very happy with that display. I think it looks really cool to have all those Decepticons. I'm just such a big Decepticon fan, and the Studio Series is moving along so nicely with the Decepticons that it's great to get them displayed here. Very much looking forward to Scraper as well as Overdrive Overload to finish off that collection. So very nice. Going down, we have my custom ones. These are the custom painted figures. Very happy about them. They're set up in the exact same display that they were set up before, same way and everything. And then going down on the left side, that's a new setup. That's kind of the Transformers, like the kind of game versions that have been coming out recently. It's called War for Cybertron, I think, which are neat designs. So I bought a set of them. And kind of haven't had a chance to display them yet, but I'm able to display them now. And above them, I have some just kind of concept Decepticons that I've always liked, figures that I've always really enjoyed, but never really able to display before. Now I can. And here we've got my Masterpiece G1 figures. Same setup as I've had before. Got some Elite Series Star Wars figures on the side. Same type of setup as what I did before though. As you can see, just getting a handheld view. Looking very cool. And here we are at our final cabinet, being the last kind of large cabinet filled with my Marvel villains. This setup is exactly the same as the old setup as well. The three big cabinets, for the most part, haven't changed at all. I'm a big fan of the setup, so I kept them the same way. On top, we do have my J. Scott Campbell collection. Again, I removed Emma Frost from that collection here, and also just a couple days ago, and they put the next figure from the Fairy Tale Fantasies statue line. They put the next one up on pre-order from Sideshow, being Cinderella, which I'm very excited about. I have pre-ordered it already, and as you can see, I have the print for Cinderella too. They did a quick glimpse at an artwork as like a little teaser maybe 2 years ago, and it was for Cinderella, so I banked the fact that if they were going to do another, it would be that one, so that's why I did already purchase that print, and very happy that I did. Looking forward to completing that set. Moving down, we have the Marvel villains, and we'll get a handheld view. As you can see, Killmonger, Loki, Thanos, a couple Chitaris flanking them. We go down, we've got some Red Skull, Electro, Winter Soldier, the Mandarin, Hela, Caecilius, and a Red Skull. And even further, we've got Ironmonger, Mark I of Ultron, Thanos from Infinity War. Still deciding if I want that new Battle Damage Endgame Thanos. I think it looks great, I'm really tempted. Then Ultron Prime, and the two Whiplashes. Very nice. Very happy that I've got enough Marvel villains, or they've made enough Marvel villains to fill an entire cabinet. Just disappointed in how many. I could fill another cabinet with the amount of Marvel villains that they've shown, but I've never actually put on pre-order. But yeah, and that does basically complete it. Moving over here, I'll give you just a quick shot of the last podium with my Iron Studios Hela. So now let's get you a grand view of the room. Alright, so there's my new collection video, my new collection room. Very excited about the new collection, and very happy with the extra amount of space that I do have. One thing that I also forgot to mention is I was able to put in the lights over here just the same way that I did, where I've got the lights underneath the framing on each shelf, so very happy about that. And just a quick handheld view of the room. Really couldn't be any happier about the collection itself. And then now this new room that I'm able to display it in as well. Very excited for the possibilities. And of course, extra room. That's always helpful. Like I mentioned, in this room there are 3 large cabinets. There's also 7 Detox cabinets when the previous room only had 5. So an additional 2 there, which is extensive amount of space. Not to mention, within those 5 Detox cabinets, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's probably about 6, maybe 7. Actually, I think 7 actual squares of the Detox that I was using for pops that are now displayed in the office. So I almost have. I have about 3.5 Detox worth of space that's new here, which is great. And then on top of that, each of my shelves in the kind of closet collection area have about 3 extra feet on them. So I just have a lot of extra room here. Again, the only place where I'm lacking room compared to the last collection room was the wall space, because these are kind of normal roofs and not the massive high ceilings that were in the last one. So overall, very happy about the collection. I definitely want to hear what you guys have to think of it and how it looks to you. And yeah, it's been fun. Setting this room up was intense, especially since I had to set up the entire rest of the house too. But this room was one that I kept as a priority, and it looks awesome. Very happy about it. So let me know what you guys think of the new collection video and the new collection room in general. And now that kind of things are settling in life, I can start doing more videos that are more like specific reviews and get them out at a higher frequency. But I've just been super busy with my life because I had a lot going on, and then the world had a lot going on too, so that caused a lot of delay there. But overall, let me know what you guys think of the new collection room, and thanks so much for watching.